G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Today we're taking off from Mt Fuji Aero, that's RJTA in Japan, and we're going to have a little bit of fun in the CubX by request of some of you guys in the comments. Today we're going to go and land on Mt Fuji. Alright, so first things first, let's do a bit of a quick startup here. So mixture control, HoTaS tweak. Now we want to put this on right fuel tank. We'll have to change this mid-flight to make sure we're balancing the tanks out. That is prop RPM forward, throttle set, and we can just flick on all of these avionics switches over here. We'll give it a short burst on the fuel pump. That'll do, and almost like starting a car. Almost. We'll just flick on the lights now. And everything is looking fine here. We already have our nav up here at the moment. We'll take a look at that on the VFR map in just a moment. Set, okay. Alright, so, as I said, we're taking off from RJTA. Pretty simple taxi route. I actually haven't used this airport before, so this is going to be... well, it looks like it's fairly simple to move around. Anyways, our destination is here, RJGO, that's our landing point. Never landed there, that is simply the closest runway to Mt Fuji, and the custom waypoint is for the peak of Fuji. Now, I've never landed on the mountain before, but I've got a fair idea on exactly how I'm going to do that, and I have done a couple of recon flights, but we'll talk about that once we're in the air. RPM is a little high. That's better. This doesn't look too bad. Actually, a little bit of an update on that for everybody watching. We are not actually playing on ultra graphics anymore. This is a combination of medium and high settings. As some of you know who have followed the channel for a while, my GTX 1080 Ti has been having a few issues, and I suspected it was in the process of killing itself. The silicon was dying. Well, it died. I've actually had to switch back to the GTX 1070 that I had as my old card, my backup card. So what you're seeing now is actually not the maximum graphics, and the frame rate's okay. There's a little stutter here and there, but frame rates are above 30 on the setting combination that I'm running, and it doesn't look too far down from the ultra settings, so you can dial it back a little bit and get acceptable frames. I would like higher, but unfortunately the 1080 didn't make it for long enough for me to get one of the new NVIDIA cards, which I think is what I'm going to be going for. Yeah, it doesn't look horrible. That I'm a little concerned about. So we're actually flying in real-time time and weather at the moment. It is actually, well, it'll be a little bit past 5 PM now. Can't actually change that one yet. A little bit past 5 PM in Japan at the moment, and it looks like there's some pretty heavy cloud around Fuji, so that could be a problem. I need to get above that. Fuji's top is at around 12,500 feet. The CubX's maximum altitude is only 14,000 feet, so we've nearly got to max the altitude on this thing to be high enough to actually land on the mountain. And that means we've got to get above those clouds in this little plane, so this is going to take some fairly aggressive climbing all the way up.
Met Air 069er, you are leaving my airspace frequency change.
Looks like we got somebody else in sim. This has actually been really cool to watch. I got to preload before the sim actually went live, so I've been watching everybody start streaming in as they've been completing their downloads and getting their first flights in. Alright, so we're getting there. We've still got a way to go on the altitude. Yeah, the virtual representation in the background of the screen too, that big bump is actually Fuji. And that is a lot of cloud in between us and it though, so it's going to take us a little bit to get through this, and I'm expecting we're going to have a lot of turbulence. We can't really see it because there's a lot of cloud going all the way down into the valleys. But there's actually a lot of mountainous terrain, or a lot of hills between us and Fuji, so we're going to get updrafts off of all of them, plus the turbulence going through the clouds. So this is not going to be a smooth flight at all. We're actually not far away from hitting those either. I do love flying over Japan. It is really pretty. At some point I will actually get to come up to this end of the world. I think the cities could be really interesting, Tokyo in particular, but I'm really more interested in the more rural areas of Japan. Though I suspect we are not going to be able to see this for much longer. The clouds have taken a slight hit, but they still don't look terrible. That is, oh, a little bit of clearing, but yeah, we've still got the thicker part of the cloud to get into. We're not going to be able to see the ground for much longer looking at this. We're not going to be able to climb over it. We're going to have to climb through it. Here we go, here comes the soup. Getting a bit of turbulence here, although we're flying fairly slow as well, but I'm... yeah, that's a little eerie. Alright, keep climbing, just keep climbing, just keep climbing, and we'll be through the top. There has to be a top on this, otherwise we're in a world of trouble. I didn't actually check to see exactly what the conditions were like over the top. A little high on the RPM. There we go. Alright, so I didn't actually check to see what the conditions were at the top of Fuji before taking off. It's entirely possible the entire mountaintop is covered in clouds, in which case we will not be able to make this landing. I won't be able to see the landing zone. Oh, no, we're getting some clearance. Ah, there we have it. Looks like the top's about 8,000 to 8,500 feet, which if that follows through all the way to Fuji, should have the entire top of the mountain poking out above the clouds, which is perfect. So I'm just flying to the instruments at the moment because there's not a lot of point in looking outside. If I'm right, we should be poking out of the clouds in just a few moments. Say 4, and we have clear sky. Alright, so that means the entire top of Fuji should be out of the clouds. So that is 12,570 feet. Okay, so we're high enough to be able to land now. Alright, so this landing, what we're going to do is we're going to come around the south side of Fuji, and we're actually going to land on the opposite side of the summit to where we are now. That bump on the right-hand side, the small hill on the summit, without the building on it, that's on the north side, but that's actually on the northwestern corner of Fuji. My thought is, if we land on the west side towards that bump, if we do not slow down by the time we hit it, that should allow us to actually stop, because we'll have to ride up one side of it, and you can see it's actually a lot bigger than it looks if you look at the buildings versus the bump. So we should be able to use that as almost a gravity brake to actually stop us. Now once we've stopped, we'll just have to turn back around, make sure we don't fall into the volcanic crater, because that would be bad, and just tip it off the side of the mountain and we should be fine. Flaps are down. Now we need to start losing speed here, but I don't want to lose too much, because we are at 12,500 feet. So too much and we'll fall like a stone from up here. Now, I'll be honest, I actually have no idea what these buildings are. I don't know if they're a resort or a research station or exactly what they are, but it's pretty cool. That must be a fantastic view from up in those.
500.
Alright. And a little faster than I would like. Touchdown. Brake, 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 and use the hill, use the hill. Handbrake. Nice. That worked out really well. I'm actually reasonably impressed with how well that worked out. No, we're all good. Alright, we've got to have a look around the outside. I don't have my Xbox controller plugged in, so I can't use the drone cam at the moment. Oh, would you look at that? Trying to get a better angle on the volcanic crater here, but we can't. And if you zoom the camera out too far on this standard view, it sort of distorts. That is fantastic, though. Alright, so we've done the landing, now we're going to do the takeoff. So, probably flaps up. Now, we're probably going to roll backwards as soon as I release this brake. I don't think the standard brake's going to have enough to be able to stop us, so... PM up to 100. So we're going to have to go full on the brakes. I'm going to have to use the brakes to guide us. And hopefully we'll roll backwards in a straight line and not tip. Power, don't want to go too fast. Alright, that was okay. Now we've just got to turn. Come on, round we go. It's actually fairly slushy up here. It doesn't really want to get around, even with brakes. Come on. Alright. And away we go. Oh, that was a lot of fun. I like that. Well, there we have it. Landed on Fuji. Now we just have to find our way back home. The view up here is entirely worth it. I recommend anybody who just put this on your challenge thing to do. Take a plane to the top of Fuji and just have a look around. This is spectacular. This isn't ominous at all. Just got to fire the instruments all the way down here. Although it's relatively easy doing it with the G1000 because you've got the 3D view of the terrain underneath. It gives you at least some idea where the mountains are. Because I mean, like, just look around. You can't see anything as you're descending through. You're completely blind. So it's all on the gauges, but it is relatively straightforward. So I wouldn't want to go too much further up that way because it looks like we start getting into the hills. So if I just continue to spiral down here, as we come back around, we should bust through the bottom of the clouds and hopefully we'll be pointing somewhere in the direction of the airport. We can see terrain. That's a good sign. It's gonna be real dark. At this point, well, we've been flying for about 40 minutes, so it must be 5:40 on its way to 6 p.m. So once we're getting below these clouds, it's actually going to be fairly dark. So, looking at this, we should be coming around on the airport in front. I'm not seeing any beacons or lights, which is annoying. Looks like we do have some rain down here as well. You can hear it rattling on the canopy there. Right. Lights on for landing. Flaps on. Actually, we might be a little bit too high here, but that's alright. It is the Cub. I'm not too concerned if I go a little bit over the end of the runway and don't touch it down perfectly.
500.
And it'll bleed the speed quickly enough. Yeah, no lights, no anything on this place. Right, and flare. There it is. Alright, so we should have a left-hand turn just up here, and that should be about it. And looks like we've got a parking spot just up ahead. Raise your hands high there, little mate, otherwise I'm not going to be able to see you over the nose. Where are you? It's a big prop spinning in your face at the moment. There we go, there we go, there we go. Alright, and that'll do it. Okay, handbrake on. Let's just mixture to 0. Tank is off. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all of our lights off. And we should be able to switch everything else off over here. I probably got the order there wrong. I don't actually have a checklist for shutting this thing down. I better put the flaps up too. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you very much for watching. Microsoft Flight Simulator will be returning to the channel in the very near future, as I'm going to be starting off a relatively low altitude general aviation circumnavigation of the world, and we're probably going to find some more stuff to land on as well. So, until next time, guys, take care.